All right.
Yeah.
So we have a guest here today to answer some questions, and I think he's got a really interesting perspective that can relate with you guys with playing some games and getting some exercise, which is what we do in our class. So, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Xaryu. I'm a live streamer, I guess a YouTuber of sorts, but I play a lot of video games, but definitely prioritize moving every day so I feel good before I'm playing my video games live on stream. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's me.
yeah. And one reason I invited Zaryu on is I was listening to a podcast and he was talking about video games, but then he started talking about um, other things that he does in his life and things that he was excited for. And do you mind diving a little bit more into the fitness thing and like how that relates to gaming and how you kind of found it?
Yeah, so for me, as when I was a kid, so I'm 27 now. I'm live streaming every day, and when I was younger, I played a lot of games, and I didn't go outside and move, and I didn't realize until later in my life that moving and staying active is very important for mental health, even if I want to do well in the game, right? So I'm gonna actually play better in my game if I spend 20 minutes to go outside and get some sunlight, if I spend 45 minutes to go and move, whether that's a workout, a run, a walk, a hike, whatever interests me, right? And it's just building up a sweat, building up some, if I'm strength training or endurance training, whatever I'm doing, just moving for a little bit and then prioritizing a couple of these basic things. And I kind of lay them out as doing my dailies, which I'll go ahead and link you if you don't have that link, but that's just moving for 45 minutes a day, 20 minutes of sunlight, getting in some water, eating fruits and vegetables, getting some protein, sleeping, right? Sleeping every night for 7 to 9 hours, not pulling all nighters, right? And just socializing and saying hi to someone you love. So that could just be your mom, that could be a friend, just saying hello, staying more friendly instead of just locking ourselves into a room as a lot of gamers probably do. I mean, I've done that in the past. So, and those dailies for me keep my mind nice and sharp so that I can actually, well, one, play the game better, right? And rank higher, right? Rank higher on the ladders and actually do very, very well at the game. But then two, I feel more well-rounded and balanced and whole. And I just feel good as an individual, as a person. So having both of those is really important for me.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think one another way that I've heard you say it, and I've heard some other people say it, is like you're leveling up in the game, so you want to make
Hmm.
sure you're leveling up in life as well.
Absolutely.
So you kind of touched on something there, as far as like the performance impacts. Like if you exercise and take care of yourself, you play better in the game. Do you see crossover between the two, just in general?
Uh, I find that I do. Now, I don't necessarily want to make any um super scientific claims because this hasn't been like, research or anything, but from my perspective, it seems as if the more I balance out my life and make sure that I'm getting these essential, vitamins or moving or getting sunlight or, just staying hydrated, very basic things, nothing crazy. I'm not suggesting anything too out of the ordinary, but just the basic human things: sleep, eat, drink water, instead of just, pulling an all nighter and running off fast food until you can barely keep your eyes open. I find that I play a lot better after doing my dailies in real life, right? So getting these essentials in makes me feel really sharp. And when I'm feeling sharp, I can play really, really snappy and quick. And I feel as if I can play a lot better that way. I don't necessarily want to make any more claims than that, but that's exactly how I like to structure my day. So the way I do it is I usually won't turn my computer on for the day until I get these dailies done. So 20 minutes of sunlight, moving for a bit, water, fruits, veggies. And then once I get everything done, as almost just like a little checklist of things that I just need to do in order to feel good, and then I'll get my stuff done for the day, and then I'll hop on my computer. But then in the back of my mind, I know that I can have a full gaming session like guilt free. So we call that guilt free gaming, right? So it's like I can hop on. I know I got everything I need to get done for the day. I had some fruits and veggies and I had a nice solid meal in me. I got my sleep, my movement in. I got a workout in. I got some sunlight. Let's game,
Yeah.
and now I can feel as if I hit like a solid gaming session. I don't feel bad about it, right? There's nothing in the back of my mind that's like, oh, I need to do that. I have to do that still. So that's how I like to structure my day.
Yeah, and like one thing that I've noticed because I think anybody who plays games, it's something that's like impulsive and attracts you into it. So whether you like it or not, once you start playing, it's hard to stop, and you
Hmm.
have to kind of put limits on yourself. And I know I see
Hmm.
people, what do they call it, like tilting, right? Where if you lose a few games and it starts going downhill from there, you kind of
Hmm.
lose that like feeling sharp, as you put it. I really like that, where your mind is clear and you can focus.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that, like you said, if I've had a full productive day before I play any games,
Yeah.
I can maintain that state of clarity.
Yeah.
But if I just wake up and just, I have a kid and a wife and all that, so this doesn't happen. But if I just wake up and start playing, I'm I'm not ready. I'm groggy and I'm not feeling as good, and
Yeah.
I'm more likely to get upset. So um, I'm glad that you kind of feel the same on that. I like it. Another
Hmm.
thing that I wanted to touch on was the food, because that's something we don't
Yeah.
talk about that much, because every student I have has a different diet, and I'm not going to tell you what to eat based, your family might do something different. You might have dietary restrictions, but do you have any like just general tips on being able to maintain a healthy diet?
Yeah, so I don't. So I'm not a nutritionist, and I don't claim to know everything with nutrition. But essentially, my approach is that I'm eating foods that make sense from a macronutrient standpoint. So I'm getting enough protein to sustain lean muscle development throughout the day, and then I'm also not disregarding the importance of micronutrients and the gut microbiome. So at the same time as getting adequate protein, I'm still eating fruits and vegetables and having a diverse range of foods so that I can keep a strong and healthy immune system. That's basically as deep as we're going. We have a full cookbook. When I say we, my fiance and I, we put out a cookbook with all the meals and recipes that we like to make. And in the cookbook is it's fun because we have like a pizza in there, right? Like we have ice cream in there and all the stuff that we actually like to enjoy, but we made them in healthier ways, right? So instead of ordering a pizza from your fast food local place or whatever, we'll make a pizza with maybe a cauliflower crust and some pesto and a large amount of chicken and we'll put some veggies on there and we'll actually bake it ourselves in the oven, right? And it's really tasty and we enjoy it, and that's how we enjoy pizza. And it's the same with every meal, right? And a lot of the questions are like, well, how often do you have a cheat meal? How often do you just like go to town on a cheat meal? And the answer is always the same of like, we, I mean, you, depending on your perspective, glass half full or half empty, we either never have a cheat meal or we always have a cheat meal, but we always eat from pretty much our cookbook or at home when we're making these foods. They're so delicious that it feels like we're having a cheat meal, but we never actually need one because we're eating like ice cream or we're eating like these super delicious kind of like Asian rice bowls or whatever we want to make. And it's like, we never need to like have a cheat meal. So our approach is every meal you should enjoy, but at the same time, it should have a good amount of um, fruits, vegetables, and protein. So that's a very just general basic answer to that.
Yeah, and that's a good strategy, because, and it leads into something we're going to talk about in a second here, but it's more of a balanced approach. And just, I know that
Yeah.
some
Hmm.
of the students haven't been necessarily exposed to like diet and things like that are going on. But what a lot of people do is they try to do something very strict and very difficult. And then, like Xaryu was saying, they'll have what's a cheat meal where they kind of go off the rails, right? Go get
Yeah.
McDonald's or eat a whole pizza or whatever it is. And that can work for people. But the problem is, once you have that cheat meal, you're going to want to do it again. And most likely it'll get more frequent, and you're more likely to go off the rails. So while it can
Yeah.
work, that balanced approach, I think, is a good way to do it. So thank
Yeah,
you for that.
for me, it's all about sustainability, right? So if I can eat, like, I've been on both ends of the spectrum, right? I've had food that's really unhealthy for me, and I've also been on the other end of the spectrum where I'm like, you know what? I'm only eating chicken, rice, and broccoli, and that's it, And then I've kind of bounced between the two ends, and I have an about me up on my website that kind of talks about this, where I was really, really strict and then really, really laissez-faire. And my middle ground that I've found that it really works for me is allowing myself to eat all the foods that I like, but making them in healthy ways so that I'm still getting all of my essential fruits, vegetables, and protein for the day, but that I can still enjoy it. So it's something that I could do every day forever. I don't feel like I'm restricting myself in any way, but I can still maintain a strong and healthy mind, strong and healthy body while doing that. And just like you mentioned, for a lot of people, trying to eat just chicken breast every day and just broccoli and rice, you can maybe do it for a week, maybe 3 weeks or a month, 6 weeks maybe, and then after that, it's like, dude, give me some McDonald's. So it just doesn't. If you try to restrict yourself too much, it's not going to work, right? You have to enjoy the process, and that's a lot of what we talk about in the cookbook, and just enjoying the process, right? And that's what we talk about with our workouts too, enjoying the workouts. If you don't like, say, running on a treadmill, maybe you like playing basketball with your friends. If you don't like playing basketball with your friends, maybe you love hiking, maybe you like mountain biking, maybe you like, I don't know, skiing. You just pick a movement form that's really fun for you that you can do every day because you actually enjoy it, right? And that's what we talk about with the food approach, with movement approach, is just do something that you actually can sustain because you like the intrinsic feeling of doing that thing.
Yeah, and I want to touch on something that we do because I think you just made a point that kind of affirms a strategy that we've had on distance learning. So, guys, there's lots of days where we'll have like a 15 to 20 minute Zoom meeting and we'll do a workout on there. And some of the days we have an activity for you to do, right? Like a video with a skill or something. And there's other days where we have you choose an activity at your house that you enjoy. And the reason we do that is exactly what Xaryu just said, is that moving needs to be fun for you, right? It needs to be consistent, but whether you're a grown up or whether you're a kid, it should be something, a part of your day that you look forward to. And I think that's really important. Yeah. So if there's things that you're doing and you're like, man, I really don't like this, try something else, right? Try to find your thing. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think there's this kind of negative energy or stigma towards dieting. I think dieting has this kind of negative connotation immediately as this restrictive form of eating. But I think it can be very fun. And the same thing with working out, right? A lot of the times we hear working out as this chore, this something that's not fun, right? Just like dieting and working out. Oh, come on. But the way I view it is completely flipped. Like eating is fun because every meal is enjoyable, and moving is the best part of my day because afterwards I feel like I'm on a high mentally, right? Because when you move, you get endorphins and you're just like, let's go. Like you have some dopamine and you're just like, before a live stream, if I just hit a workout, like I'm feeling good, right? And I want to share that energy, and going on a stream with that type of vibrance is very important to me because I want to share that excitement and energy with the viewers. So I think movement should be flipped, man. It should be fun. It should be something that you're looking forward to, and eating, same thing. It's not this. That's why I don't like the word diet, right? And that's why I don't really often use the word workout. I usually say movement or training, and I usually say like nutrition. I don't. Diet and workout to me have this stigma that's holding it back from what it is in my perspective.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think another thing to think about, especially when you're younger, is those things are going to change. Like a good example is myself, where like I started off as an athlete, and it was kind of the opposite of you, where I was playing sports all day, every day, to the point where all I wanted to do was anything else. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I couldn't wait to play some games because over summer I had 8 hours of practice a day, and it was brutal. And then I was always locked into one thing. From there, I went into like lifting weights strictly for strength, and then I went like crazy into CrossFit, did competitions and all this. And then I went crazy into weightlifting, and then I'm noticing as I'm getting older that, like you're saying, finding something that's exciting for me that day is it's keeping me more consistent. Like if I go grab my jump rope and get like a 20-minute jump rope workout in, I don't want to do that 7 days a week, but the 2 days a week that I do it, I have a great time and I'm excited about it. And so staying excited about movement or training, if you're using those terms, I think is really important. So I kind of want to shift over a little bit. We talked about balance with the diet. What about balance with the lifestyle? Because when you're streaming, I know you're putting a lot of hours in. You don't get as good as you are at the game or at entertaining people without putting the hours in. So is there anything you do specifically to help balance just lifestyle?
Yeah. So with just going back to what you said before shifting here, I think it's really important to change things up for staying mentally excited about something. like you were touching on. Like if you're not excited about your workout, it's never going to happen. But what ultimately is the indicator from my perspective is, what are your goals, right? If your goal is to be a collegiate athlete, those 8-hour training sessions are important. And if your goal is to be an Olympian, of course, they're very important. And if your goal is to just generally stay healthy and fit and feel good in your body, changing it up every day is going to really, really be beneficial because you can maintain and stick to it. So I think everyone should kind of ask themselves the question, what's my health and fitness goal? And answer honestly. There's no wrong answers. It could just be, hey man, I want to lose 20 pounds and I want to feel a little bit leaner and lighter and feel strong. And if that's your goal, then, mixing it up is important. But I guess I don't want to necessarily, put down long training sessions. If someone's goal is to be a collegiate athlete, then it takes a lot more dedication, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome too. So it just depends on.
Really quick, for the kids, I got to point this out. This was an assignment that you already did, was to choose a fitness goal that was relevant to you, right? And so I'm glad you brought that up, because we did that exact assignment, and awesome. I want the kids to start thinking about that, because maybe when I said that I was doing those 8-hour training sessions, it sounded a little bit resentful. And it might be because I've already done it. But for me to reach a level that I wanted to reach, that's what I had to do. So
that's what you had to do. Yeah. Super cool. So for me on my stream, if you guys are on Twitch, anyone listening or watching is on Twitch, I have channel points in my channel. For channel point redemptions, we have a couple different things. So one of those is a power pose. If you guys don't know what a power pose is, there was a TED talk on it, but it's really just lifting your hands in the air, and it kind of invokes this very primordial, natural thing to excite us, right? So just lifting our hands above our head, makes you feel very good. And so we have the power pose on stream as something that if someone redeems 5,000 channel points, or maybe 4,000, it'll have everyone in the stream. We're like, okay, guys, let's power pose. Similarly, we have another channel point that says hydrate. And when someone redeems hydrate, we all take a sip of water, right? We have another channel point that is gratitude, right? Thinking about something we're grateful for. And maybe that's one that isn't so obvious, because thinking, like thoughts, it's like, well, do thoughts make you healthy? And from my perspective, absolutely. Thinking positively and having a form of gratitude is very important for a healthy mind. So we're midstream, someone redeems gratitude. I'm like, okay, return to that point of gratitude, right? The next one is, let's see, I actually don't have them all memorized, but let's see, hydrate up, stretch, right? So one would be stretching out the neck or stretching out the shoulders, just kind of moving, stretching out the body, right? And so if someone redeems that, we all just take a moment and stretch. And there might be another. I should go to my own channel and see.
But these are all ways, while you're looking, these are all ways that you can add balance into things that you do, right? Like a good example is when we're in class, and I know you come to us for PE, but you might have a 2-hour stretch during the day where, you have to do work and listen to lectures or whatever it is. And so kind of just taking a 30 seconds or 20 seconds, however long that takes out of that time to, do something for yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, I did find them. So the other one is deep breath, right? So just taking a minute to go, and just chill for a second. The next one is a posture check, right? So in our chairs, oftentimes we kind of begin to round the shoulders and get that gamer neck going on, like this. And when we're on our computers for hours and hours on end, just checking the posture for a second, bringing the shoulders back, tightening the core, tilting the pelvis forward instead of posteriorly tilting. And we begin to just slouch. So posture check, stretching, gratitude, deep breath, power pose, and hydrate frequently come up in the channel. And that's my way of reminding myself, really, and everyone watching to move. I should add, I'm not sitting in a chair currently. I do a lot of different seated postures. Right now I'm kneeling. I have a pad that I'm kneeling on. When I'm kneeling on the floor, I press my hips through. I'm active in the core and the glutes and the hamstrings. So frequently I will be on my computer for longer sessions like this. Actually, I wouldn't recommend super long sessions. Maybe 45-minute sessions would be good like this. And I don't think you can see, but a lot of the times I'll put one leg out to the side like this and have one knee on the floor, and then I'll switch it to the other side. So I have my other leg out and one knee on the floor. I'm always doing like funky poses. I'll sometimes sit in a lunge. So I'll just be in a lunge on my desk, and then I'll switch to a lunge on the other leg with the other leg forward. And then after doing that for 45 minutes or an hour, then I'll switch to a chair for a couple hours. Then I'll switch back to kneeling. So if I have super long sessions, there's no way I'm sitting in the chair the whole time. And I would probably say that wouldn't be a very good idea. Now, if we are sitting in a chair, there are ways to sit in a chair that is better. From my perspective, at least, I'm not I'm an expert by any means. But what I personally like to do is put up one leg, put up my other leg, kind of move every 5 minutes, even if it's just a slight shift, right? Our bodies become stiff if we stay in one position for too long. So just keeping some type of movement in the chair. Actually, maybe it would be valuable. I took off my headset so I can't hear you, but I'll sometimes sit up with one leg like this, leaning forward, so anterior pelvic tilt, and leaning forward like this. And then I'll do the other leg, and then I'll put one leg up like this, and then I'll put the other leg up like this, and then I'll sit normally, right? So constantly moving in different positions on the chair instead of just sitting and then rocking back, right? And I think this is so silly to think about. Like, wow, there's ways to sit in a chair or ways to operate a computer desk or do my homework that's not just sitting in a chair. Those are the things I think about.
It's really not silly. And I worked while I was in college as a personal trainer. And I worked with a lot of older people who worked in offices, and they had the same issues over and over again. Yeah. I saw these issues where you get tight in the chest and the shoulders. So like through here, and then back here, he was talking about that gamer neck, right? You get weak back here. And so if you're not pulling your shoulders back and you're not moving or keeping your body engaged, it doesn't matter if you're old or young. Those issues are coming from what you're doing, not from your age. So if you're sitting in your chair all day and you're not moving, and like you were talking about with the posture, those are things that can happen. So yeah, it's good point to touch on. So thank you for that. So this is interesting to me because a lot of the students now, I hear conversations and stuff, and they are super intrigued by like YouTube and streaming. And I think a lot of it is the fact that nowadays you can go out on your own and make a living for yourself. Like you have your own personal brand. Best way to ask this question. A lot of people will just focus on like gaming, let's say, right? And they'll do a lot of silly stuff and like crazy, make a crazy scene, and people will donate a lot of money. And so I think a lot of kids see that and they see that like that's an acceptable way to make a living. And of course it is, right? But you've chosen a different path where I feel like you're very professional and you have a product that's out there to help people. What inspired you to go down that road of being more of a positive influence rather than like an all-out entertainer, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think like the answer that immediately jumps into my mind is authentically me. I am generally more of a boring person. I don't think a lot of people would agree on my stream. People love the streams, but I'm not that, super eccentric out there person that's yelling and screaming all the time, although sometimes I do. But it's just me. That's who I am, and I like to get my workouts in. We do all the workouts live on stream. If you didn't know, by the way, we do the workout stream in the morning and the gaming in the evening. So that's authentically me. I like professionalism. I like showing up in that way. So most of the time, that's what we're doing. I think a lot of people have different approaches. For some people, very, very successful, a little bit more colorful, a little bit more out there. And if that's authentically them, I think that's really cool too. I think it's finding the approach that is really genuinely you. I think being yourself is important, not trying to necessarily be anyone else. I do think that the question appears a lot, should I drop out of school and become a live streamer?
Thank you. I think this is going to be valuable for the students.
Yeah. So, I get this question a lot. I get emails, I get Twitter DMs, I get Instagram DMs. They're like, yo, should I drop out of school? Like, I really want to be a gamer, and I really want to make content on YouTube, and I really want to um, be a streamer. And I'm like, well, if you really want to do it, then do it in school, and then on the weekends and afternoons, then that's when you're live streaming, and that's when you're making YouTube videos, and that's when you're dedicating time to your craft. And then the question I always get next is, but I go out with my friends on the weekends. I can't do it then. And I'm like, well, do you really want to be a streamer then?
Well, and
Do you?
here's something that happens, because I can relate this to what I did. Where I told you in college I was a personal trainer, and
Mhm.
my wife and I, obviously I was a full time student, right, and I got a master's degree doing all that. I was also training clients 40 hours a week. I also had a fiance. My going and having fun with my friends was training my clients or working out with them on the weekends,
Yeah.
or getting in the gym with some friends. So I think it's when somebody asks that question, should I drop out of school to do it? If you're doing something that's productively consuming your time, and it's a really hard. I mean, I think you were having probably a better answer than I did, but if you were in school, you can still get that work in. It doesn't matter if it's gaming or YouTube or whatever it is. If you really love something, you can finish those 4 years of school while doing it on the side and then transition into it. Because I learned that, hey, I love training people, but as far as having a family goes, am I going to be able to train people 40 hours a week and do my own workouts and coach teams on the side? And I found that I could do all of that in another career path, and it worked out really well for me. So sometimes I'm envious of people like you that pursue their own thing. I was pursuing my own thing, and I found a path that achieved all my goals elsewhere. And that was through school. So sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off there, but
Yeah, no, that's absolutely great. I totally agree with everything you said. I think, like, just to put my personal experience back into it, I was in college. I graduated in 2016 with my business degree, and I streamed while in college for the entire 4 years, and made my way through college, and I stayed in school, and I graduated. You know, with honors and did my thing, and I streamed most weeks 40, 50, 60 hours a week, some weeks 70 hours while I was doing that, right? And why? Like, how, right? Or I guess how is the question? And because I loved it. I love streaming, and I love sharing that experience online with other people. So it's not like, oh, dude, well, how do I find the energy? Well, if you love what you're doing, the energy will be there. If you are passionate about it, the energy will be there. You might have to give up hanging out with friends, but hey, like you said, training was your friendships, right? Training and hanging out with people was hanging out with your friends. For me, live streaming online and hanging out with my community was my friendships, right? Quite literally. And there's not going to be enough time to do everything. And as we get older, we start to realize that, right? If you want to have kids, you want to buy a house, you want to, take this career path, and you want to, like, all of these different things start appearing. So it is a choice of how much energy do we want to put in each area. But at the end of the day, I think staying in school and doing it on the side is a great way to see, at least as a tester, what am I passionate about? Am I passionate about live streaming enough to do it, even when I have no energy, and even when after a long day, do I love this thing? And hey, after a couple years, if you're loving it, then take it full time. You build up 5,000 followers, 10,000 followers, 20,000 followers. You graduate from school. Great. Don't get the job like the 9 to 5 that you were thinking. Take streaming full time for a year. Does it work out for you? Maybe, maybe not. But then from there, you still have your degree, right? And you still have that backup plan, and you can still do other things. But I would highly not recommend someone just dropping out of school with 0 followers to pursue their passion when they haven't even, like, tried it yet. That's not a good path, in my opinion. That's not a good way, not a good order of doing things. Could it work out? Maybe, but it's just not very. There's no backup plan there. I would test it on the side first for a
yeah.
while.
And I think you would probably be able to speak to this more than I could, but anytime you're starting your own, and by the way, guys, if you want to do Twitch or YouTube, you are starting a business. right? And realize you got a
Yep.
business degree, which I'm sure he can attest to. He probably learned some things that have helped him. Uh,
Hmm.
but you're taking a risk and you're investing everything in yourself. And so you have to understand that there's things you can control and things you can't control. But the one thing you can control is, like you said, taking action on things. And I think a lot of people, especially in this space, like to talk about things. I don't know how many actually take action on all those things, and so that's really really important.
Yeah. Really, really cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, I did. So I asked if they had any questions. A couple of
Cool.
them were on inspiration, which I think you
Sure.
kind of touched on already. So I'm not gonna go back to that. But I got a good kick. They all wanted to know what graphics cards you use.
I have a 2080 Ti. I would have the 3080, but I just don't have it yet. So,
All
I
right.
I want the 3080, but right now I have a 2080.
All right. And then do you use a capture card?
I don't. I know a lot of other streamers do. I have Legion Lenovo, so I'm on TSM. I'm sure everyone uh, listening and watching those TSM Team Solo Mid, they hooked it up with Legion Lenovo PC. That's what I stream on, and it's fantastic. I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I got a kick out of that. As I'm on my class, and I told them, I said, right now on their, we have Google Classroom, I'm posting, a little, you can leave a comment if you want me to ask them something. And that I got three of them right away. What graphics card does he use? So
Wow, that's fantastic.
yeah, so they're all interested in that. Well, thank you for taking the time. I really really appreciate it. I think that you're setting a good example for a lot of the younger gamers, even if that's not your targeted audience. I think seeing somebody who is focused on like health and gaming at the same time is making a better gaming a better space overall. So thank you for that. Do you have any like final advice or words of wisdom for the youth here?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, man. This was really really awesome. I just love talking about this stuff and sharing it. As you might be able to tell, it's something that I needed when I was a kid, and I'm being the person that I needed when I was 12 years old. You know what I mean? I didn't go outside, and I didn't train and move and drink water, and that's why I'm so passionate about sharing these things, because I neglected that for a very long time. And now I feel as if I've come full circle, and I've realized that these things and these fundamentals, they're very basic, but they're very important. And skipping them is a fast road to depression. It's a fast road to not feeling good about yourself. And I think after realizing that, I feel it's my duty to share it and not keep it just for myself. So sharing that with youth, and having you as a teacher sharing that with kids is the coolest thing ever. So thank you so much for the call.